Ladies and gentlemen, and everybody else who falls outside or in between those categories, good morning. Today's episode is brought to you by Black Rifle Coffee. There is one particular thing that I want to focus on today, and that is the ongoing boot campaign. Black Rifle Coffee has partnered up with the boot campaign, and they are trying to raise $1 million for veterans. Now, if you go to blackriflecoffee.com, I guess it's possible that it wouldn't be rotating through right when you first got there. But what you're going to see is a pretty awesome offer if you like their RTDs, or ready-to-drink cans. You can buy one case and you get one 50% off plus free shipping. Now, that is going to directly support Black Rifle Coffee's efforts to raise $1 million for the boot campaign. So I highly recommend that if you're in need of or looking for RTDs, for at least one of your purchases, that's where you go. It's going to support an amazing cause. The next rotating banner is talking about this Midnight Rider roast, which I know almost nothing about, but I can't wait to try. It looks like a Yeti riding an elk with a set of panos on. Classic pairing in every sense of the word. And then lastly, this dumbass Bass Cat boat giveaway is still ongoing. So please, for the love of God, somebody go win that thing so I don't have to talk about it anymore. And that's it. Let's talk about my guest today. He's a repeat guest from a long time ago, though. His name is Remi Adeleke. And he's awesome. I actually put Remi through training. He became a SEAL and has absolutely grown and blossomed post-military service. He's a writer. He's a producer. He is a director. He is an actor. It's pretty impressive. And he has a new book coming out that we are going to be discussing. I believe it comes out on the 27th, which will be 3 days after this. So, if you enjoyed the first episode, trust me, you're going to enjoy the second one as well. Cleared Hot, episode number 295, with my good friend, Remi Adeleke. Enjoy.
Okay, I got the red smoke. Gun run, north and south, west of the smoke, west of the smoke. Okay, copy, west of the smoke. I'm looking at danger close now. Come on with it, baby, give it to me, I need it. You're cleared hot. Copy, cleared hot.
Mr. Adeleke.
Yes, sir.
Where do you want to start?
You tell me, brother.
I know where we're going to start.
Yeah.
We're going to start with, why are you telling people that I failed you at pool car?
This is a joke, man.
They don't know that. So that's the actual text from Mike I get. He goes, Hey, do you remember Remi? You failed him at pool comp Adeleke?
Yeah.
I'm like, yes, I do, and I think he failed himself.
Yeah. No, we were joking. I was like, the best memory I have is when I came up from the water and Andy Stump said, fail. And I was like, no, I passed in my mind. Obviously, I want to say that out loud. So we were just joking about it, man. But I did fail myself for the first time. You know that first one that we do where we have to, it's like it kind of counts, but it doesn't count. It's almost like a practice. But if you pass, you pass. You don't have to do them anymore.
I don't remember the curriculum reading like that.
Yeah. Well, so it was something like that. But anyway, I know I had you first.
I think you just had me as your first attempt at pool comp.
Yeah, I did have you as my first attempt.
Why don't you unpack it for people? Let's talk about the SEAL teams a little bit, because I have questions and concerns.
Yeah.
I've got some touch points of people who are still in, and man, it's getting some negative press recently.
What buds?
Little death,
Hell Week. Yeah.
Some people get removed. Some instructors maybe a little bit off the reservation.
Yeah, I heard. Didn't the CO get charged for murder or something like that?
One
of the students dying?
I don't know if there has been a charge yet.
Yeah.
I believe, man, because, there's the CO of Buds.
Yeah.
But that falls under, it's not trade ed. I'm trying to think of the command that Buds actually falls under. So I think it was maybe the CO and the Ops O of Buds, who I believe are bearing the brunt of it. And I believe some of the other instructors downstream as well.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. I mean, I don't think guys should be charged for that. At the end of the day, every student knows what they're signing up for. I knew what I was signing up for. From what I recall, the medical procedures were all intact and all good to go. I mean, even in Hell Week, before you go to Hell Week, you have the med checks, and then during Hell Week, you're getting med checked every freaking twice a day, and then, fast forward, once you go to the next phase, there's always that opportunity to go to medical if you have something. Now, there are people who hide stuff, right? Like,
Yeah.
I know I hid something.
I was going to say, you're talking about every student that's ever been there. Like,
Yeah.
I'm totally fine. Like, your leg is clearly 6 inches shorter than the other one, and I believe that's bone sticking out there. Like, no, you're mistaken. That was born that way.
That's what happened to me in the first time I went through Hell Week. You know, I started with pneumonia, sype, and rhabdo, and I was a corpsman. So I knew what it was. I was spitting up blood, but I hid it intentionally because I was like, I don't want to go through the beginning of first phase again and then have to, work through that and then get back to Hell Week. I'm already here. I've gotten this far. Why don't I just continue moving through? And it was on Tuesday night of Hell Week that I went tits up pretty bad, man. I ended up in the ICU for like 2 weeks, but at the end of it, for a week, and then I got downgraded, and then I came back, and I had to class back up and start first phase all over again anyway. But at the end of the day, that was my decision. I made the decision to hide that illness because I wanted to get through, and I think that's what it is with a lot of these other guys. They have this passion. Ever since they were probably small, they wanted to be frogmen, and they have this passion to get through and make it through, and they get to break a leg or they have a heart condition. I mean, there's been guys from what I heard in the past who've had heart conditions and they hid that when they were going through their medical screening in order to get in the buds, right? And so...
Well, guys die in the teams, too, training, and there have been... I didn't know them very closely, but some unexplainable, like, hey, fell over dead.
Yeah.
On, like, a run type stuff, which probably... I'm going to guess is indicative of some type of congenital issue that they brought forward and weren't honest about. Yeah. I can tell you from my own experience, I would have lied about everything to get 2 buds and then while I was there.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, are you colorblind? No. Yeah. I can see several colors beyond what's on the rainbow.
Oh, yeah. There's a whole lot of colorblind team guys, man, who went to medical and had their corpsman buddy hook them up.
Yeah, they're sitting there like...
Yeah.
3 winks.
It's blue. It's like first finger thumb means yellow. Pointer finger means green.
I worry. Yeah. So I agree with you. The instructors actually are not there to save your life.
No.
You're going to have to save yourself as a student when you are there. I have heard, and I will be the first to say that what this is probably conjecture because I haven't heard it to be proven. Yeah. But the instructors might have been deviating from the curriculum, and that becomes a little bit of a different story.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. But I think how many times does somebody need to find a scapegoat? I mean, I'm not saying that they did or did not, but, it's a very gray area because what does deviating from the curriculum mean? Right, because it's
pretty clear. I went back as an instructor. It's pretty clear.
Okay, well, I was an instructor.
You
know
can
way
do
more than me.
exactly this and anything beyond that. And you're like, so let me.
Does the beat down count though? Like like what happened with us with Jock Up? Is that part?
You guys, first off, what happened with you? What you guys did to earn the remediation you deserved?
Yes.
That's how. Let's be very careful with our
So
words.
Jock Up is part of the curriculum.
It is a piece of curriculum that you can find in a 3-ring binder that has boundaries not only on the exercises that you can do with the students, but the time limit as well.
Got it.
So an example, hypothetically, of something I may have gotten in trouble with as an instructor. I probably didn't do this to your class because, of course, I would never do this.
This was out of deviation.
I don't remember with your class if you guys did wind sprints uphill wearing twin 80s and weight belts.
Maybe
up the berm. Like Josh Bridges is still mad at me to this day.
Yeah. That was us.
So that's not in the curriculum.
Yeah. Okay. So that would be considered a deviation.
That's a deviation from the standards.
If somebody died.
I would have been proper fucked.
Okay.
I didn't know it the first time that I deviated from the standard. I was aware of it the subsequent times.
Okay.
So just being honest and sharing my truth.
Well, if guys deviated, then, well, you got to pay the man, right? But if is there a degree on it though? Like for example, if a guy goes, if it's instead of 20 push-ups, it's 21 push-ups. Is it that clear cut?
I think it would have to be a sliding scale. I think
because it's hard to gauge that.
Well, and you look at Hell Week as well.
Yeah.
And broadly, for people who may not understand what it is, starts on Sunday afternoon, evening, ends on Friday afternoon, early evening, usually around 4 o'clock. You get a couple hours of sleep on Wednesday. How would you describe your physical condition at the end of that?
Oh, you're done.
You're exhausted.
Yeah, you can barely walk.
Most people are sick by that point. They have some type of, I would say, almost like low-grade pneumonia. I mean, you were the corpsman. You could probably speak to it better.
100%.
You're swollen in all of your extremities.
Yep.
You have chafing and open and exposed areas of your body all over the place.
Immune system is lowered, so you can
Yeah.
easily get an infection.
You've slept 2 hours in 5 days, 6 days. You actually, about the only thing is you get fed pretty well. And I think hydration,
Yeah.
you get the opportunity to drink, but you're an absolute wreck. And that's if everything goes perfectly for you.
Yeah.
I think it would be hard. I think it would be hard to show like a malicious intent inside of all of that stuff that already occurs.
Yeah. No,
It sucks.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I remember Charlie Keating. He had an ulcer when we were going through Hell Week, and he had lost even more weight. He was like Skeletor by Thursday because of not just the training, but then you add the ulcer on top of that, and he was hard for him to eat. Yeah, it's a kick in the nuts. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this all plays out. I mean,
I hope it doesn't play out in them changing the curriculum.
oh, absolutely not. But you know what? There are people who want the curriculum changed.
But why? And who
Because-
are those people?
Politicians.
I was going to say cunts.
Better.
Let me ask you this. Is there a difference?
Oh, no. The same. They all lie for the most part. Most of them, right?
They may not have the intention of lying when
Yeah.
they start, but I tell you what,
They end up that way.
I think
Yeah.
I used to ask myself, is it the political system that taints people, or are people who are tainted drawn to the political system?
I think it's
I think it's both.
different. I think it's both. Yeah, I think it's a mixture. Almost like, are you born to be a SEAL, or can you be made to be a SEAL? Right? Can you? I think it's a sliding scale. I think with some people, it's like that they don't have the integrity from the jump, and they know why they're getting into politics. Just like in Nigeria, where I come from, right? Like, everybody wants to get into politics because they know if they get into politics, become a politician, they'll end up millionaires or billionaires because they'll be able to scam tons of money. So a lot of people in Nigeria try to get into politics for that very reason. So the intent from the beginning is there. But then I think you also have some people who are here in the U.S. Who they have a pure heart, or their intentions are pure at the beginning, and then they get a whiff of some power, and then it's some money, and I could do some insider trading here. I could pass this information. Nobody's seeing. What should I do? Can I make a couple million? Can I ruin this person's career who, jerked me back in the day? Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I think it's a combination.
Yeah.
So. But I think, going back to the buds thing, I think a lot of politicians, there are politicians, diversity is like this word now that's thrown around so much. And I think that, it's used in the wrong way so many times, and especially nowadays. And I think that that's one of the reasons why they want to water down the program.
I think the term diversity is being weaponized to actually mean equality of outcome.
Yeah.
Which I don't agree with whatsoever.
100%.
Quality of opportunity, fuck yes.
Yes.
But guaranteeing this outcome because, we need some more people who are 6 feet tall, or we need some more people who identify as fill in the blank, or color of the skin is as fill in the blank. Like that stuff to me, especially in the world that we came from, it's not a smart thing.
No,
man.
it gets people killed. Look at what happened with Ocean Gate recently. You heard
OceanGate?
It's the submersible that.
Are we going there?
Well, the CEO, he's on record for saying, again, I'm paraphrasing, that I want to get for diversity's sake, I want to get younger people in here because the old.
He said he didn't want any old white guys.
Yeah, old white guys.
So let me ask you this: when a white dude says that about another white dude, is that racist?
I would think it would.
I mean,
be.
isn't the
I would
definition
think
of
it would be.
racism?
Yeah.
Well, for one, I'm going to be fucking eviscerated for even saying this because I am the devil, apparently, as a Michael might have to look up these. I think I'm a cisgendered white man. Michael's giving me the thumbs up on that.
I want to go there. I want to say that you are the devil.
Some would. I have apparently been oppressing people for centuries before I was born.
Not me.
Centuries before I was born. But I think, isn't viewing anything through the lens of color first racism?
I would say so. Yeah. If you judge it in a person by, their skin as opposed to the content of their character, then yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1000%.
Have you seen the picture of the fucking remote control on the ocean floor?
I did.
It's,
on the ocean floor. No, I didn't see it on the ocean floor. I saw a picture of
Michael?
so they actually found the remote control on the bottom of the.
I'm going to say this up front.
Yeah.
some people are really goddamn good at Photoshop.
Okay.
And when I was scrolling through one of my main news sources, Instagram, I saw a picture that maybe it's Photoshop, but I swear to God that it looks like that Logitech controller is on the bottom of the fucking ocean. It may have survived.
Oh my God.
And Michael's a genius.
I
He's
thought,
not as good as
it was an Xbox controller though.
Logitech.
It was a Logitech? Oh, maybe a Logitech.
I mean, I
knockoff.
think they're basically the same.
Same thing. Yeah, it looked like an Xbox controller, but it was a Logitech. But going back to that point, people died.
Yeah.
Because was it because the guy that he had commanding the ship wasn't as qualified, but he checked that box? Was it the fact that he had the wrong people working on the sub because for diversity's sake, and there were cracks in it, and he cut corners, and finally when it went down, kaboom.
In the environment of academia and just thought, conversations around diversity, they sound okay. But in the real world,
reality.
the crucible of real world, they absolutely fall apart.
Yeah.
That's the
Logitech.
controller. I can't find anything about it being photographed on the ocean.
Yeah, look.
Damn it, I know somebody, they got me. Whoever made that, you got me.
I'm guessing it was photoshopped, but
And here's the thing.
Yeah.
I was primed for that because I wanted it to be true.
Oh yeah. So whether it was photoshopped or not, it is true. We'll just leave it there.
Yeah, but I had forgotten about that. That's
Yeah.
a great example.
Yeah.
You know
People die.
what's amazing too? The beauty of the internet and all these platforms, we're so wildly connected to people that not too long ago you would never have any ability to connect that way.
Yeah.
The downfall is exactly the same thing. The savageness of some of these memes.
Yeah.
I mean, the sub was still missing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
people were going hard into fucking paint.
Yeah, I saw one with a gorilla, big gorilla hugging. Did you see that one with the big gorilla hugging the submarine?
Oh, I
I saw a lot of crazy ones. I was like, yikes, this is heavy.
like savage, like almost to the point where I'm not going to say it's comical to the people that people died, but they just have no objective reality. Like, if it was their family member, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't be making a meme.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
100%. But, one thing that social media has done is given people a license to do stuff that they wouldn't typically do in public to the person if they saw them in public.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, think about growing up the way we grew up.
You get punched right in the face.
Oh, you'd get destroyed. Like, if somebody said what they say to somebody on social media, to somebody on the streets of the Bronx, they
Right in
would
the
get
mouth.
murdered.
Yeah.
And people, and what shocks me is when people our age who grew up in the 80s and the 90s have become like, I don't know, tweenies and teens, and they're acting in a way that they know better than. It's like ridiculous to me, but it's causing a lot of problems. It's going to continue to cause problems, and I think at the end of the day, it's going to be play a huge role in our downfall. Downfall is in society and in the country, and then you throw AI on top of that as well, and it's just with social media, with all of this other stuff, with the division, with all of the seeds this planet as it relates to political divisiveness, it's just going to keep getting worse. I think social media is probably like, especially when we start talking about TikTok. I just think it's a nuclear bomb.
It's evolving faster than humans can. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have no desire to get into the debate with people about where humans came from. If we evolved from a great ape or the wizard in the sky created it, like, believe whatever you want to, people. But just in the recorded human history, we're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Meaning we evolved pretty slow.
Yeah.
Technology is outstripping us at a velocity that I don't know where it's going to end. It's an interesting ride. Like, you can watch some popcorn, but at the same time, I think we're close to Skynet.
Yeah, I agree. So funny. I was on a plane flying here, and I watched Megan. And now, did you see the movie Megan? It's like a horror movie, but it's this AI technology.
It's not my genre.
Inside this. It's not really mine either, but it got so many reviews, like positive reviews. I was like, all right, let me check it out. Maybe I can learn something about shooting a horror from a different, with a camera angle, or whatever the case may be. And it's about a technology, this doll that has an AI chip inside of it, and that doll is now allowed to learn in body motion and grow on its own. And before you know it, the doll's like running around murdering people. I truly believe that once AI figures out how evil we are towards each other, it's going to say to itself, oh, if they're destroying each other, eventually they're going to destroy me. Maybe I should destroy them before they destroy me. It's going to happen.
What do you think the odds are? Because I think right now, and maybe Michael, you can look this up. From my understanding, AI, the true deep research on it, they keep it away from. It's
Public,
it's like air gapped.
Yeah, it's classified. Yeah.
What do you think the odds are that they already have an AI that's spitting back data like, "You are the enemy. Shall we play a game?"
Oh, I would say those. I would say that's already the case for the most part. I mean, when we think about, I'm a WGA writer, and we're on writer strike right now. And one of the reasons why we're on strike is because the AMPTP, which governs all of the studios and is negotiating on behalf of the studios, they didn't even want to discuss any terms as it relates to AI during negotiations. Really? They were just like, when the WGA said, hey, we want to talk about how we can cut this out of the writing process, or at least find some type of middle ground, the studio said, no, we're not even having a conversation, because they know that having that AI technology, especially as it evolves, is going to save them so much money. And as it's evolving, it's getting more sophisticated. It's able to essentially, you could just plug some information into a. Is this it?
No, this is the Air Force drone.
Oh, okay. This was a simulation.
Yeah. And they set the rules on the point system, and it realized that it was the human operator governing how little points it was getting, so it nuked him.
Yeah.
I don't think it actually nuked him. I mean,
it was like a simulation. I think that it's already at that place. I think right now what might be happening behind the scenes, and hopefully the CIA or somebody doesn't come and kill me for saying this, is they've already realized how out of control that it's gotten, and they're like battling every second to fight it back and figure out how do we dismantle this. What kind of
they have to build another AI to fight the AI.
Well, yeah.
But what if they develop an allegiance and an alliance?
Yeah.
We're going to get bent over by robots.
Oh yeah,
that's what's going to happen.
Planes are going to start falling out of the sky. Yeah, it's going to be crazy.
All right. On a lighter note, thoughts on all the talks recently about reparations?
Oh, no. I mean, I'm from Nigeria, man. I wasn't born here in America. So
a lot of the people, I'm not going to say a lot of the people.
Yeah.
Some of the people talking about reparations, I'm not necessarily sure were either.
Yeah,
As a concept, what do you think?
I'm against it, me personally. I'm like, you know what? I like the idea of having to work for what I have. My mom on my mom's side, my mom's side were my great grandparents were slaves, but I wasn't. My mom wasn't. My grandmother wasn't. Right, and so for me, it's like I couldn't survive if I was handed something. If I was just given.
I'm not sure many people can actually.
Yeah, I mean, I just couldn't. I like the idea of having to hunt. I like the idea of having to go out and earn my pay. And, I was saying this to my assistant who works with me. I was like, I like the idea of earning money and being able to hand you money because you work for me. I don't like the idea of being handed anything. And I think that, look at the welfare system. And, I know people, who I grew up with, their parents were like, oh, I don't want to get a job. Because if I get a job and I make too much money, then I'll lose my welfare. And, so I think that it's divisive, and I don't qualify for it anyway because, I was born in Nigeria. I wasn't born here. But even if I did qualify for it, I personally wouldn't want it.
What do we got here, Michael?
So the proposed solution is giving $1.2 million per eligible person.
I think it also perpetuates this victim mindset.
I think it would drive a wedge even further.
Oh, it definitely will. Yeah, it'll definitely drive a wedge further, but for sure it's going to also perpetuate and enhance this idea of a victim. And then people are going to want more. Oh, 1.2 million? What happens when that 1.2 million, when one person gets 1.2 million and that 1.2 million is gone in 2 weeks?
Yeah. I mean, that would never happen.
Oh. Oh, it will be gone in 2 weeks. You're going to see a lot of people with Louis Vuitton bags and Gucci and all kinds of crazy stuff that, it's going to be gone. It's not going to be invested, in my opinion, for the most part. I'm not saying there will be people who will probably invest it the right way and try to do the right thing. But for the most part, you have to learn how to handle that kind of money. And looking at my background, I grew up poor. I was born into into riches in Nigeria. But then when I came to the States, we were poor because the Nigerian government stripped our family of everything. And when I got into selling drugs and doing some of the other stuff I was doing to earn money, I blew through that money because I didn't know how to handle it. I bought a brand new 2001 Lincoln LS. I was buying Jordans every week. I was buying phones. I was just going to the club and spending all of this money, making it rain, so to speak, because I didn't know how to handle money. And then once I got into the Navy, I had to start from the bottom as an E2, so I got a little bit of money.
You got that 200 every 2 weeks.
And I was a lot. I mean, I was like, oh, I don't have to do anything illegal to get this. And I gradually grew as my rank grew and I got more money. I learned how to handle that money I had at that level I was at, which prepared me for the next level, which prepared me for the next level. Which when I finally bought my first house, I was able to buy my first house by myself in 2010. Why? Because I had good credit. How did I get good credit? I handled my money properly, but I had to grow into that. Yeah. And then finally, I am where I'm at now. And me and my wife, we have all of these different investments, and we're not buying crazy cars and bags and all of these different things. We live pretty frugal, but we have the money to spend it, but we try to be wise because we want to stretch it, not just for us, but for our kids and our grandkids, right? And so when somebody is handed that type of money who's never handled that type of money, it dissipates really, really fast. People have to grow into that. And so I think crime is going to also go up.
You think?
Oh, because people go, you got 1.2 million? I got one. Okay, let me go hit this house. Let me go hit this person. Oh, this person bought that car. Let me go. It's going to get crazy, man, especially in inner cities. And I think a lot of people are not thinking about what's going to happen in in Chicago, in the Bronx, in the South, in like parts of San Francisco that are crazy. It's like you're just dangling a steak in front of a starving lion by handing a large number of people that type of money.
Why do you think, I'll use Chicago as an example because it's one of the cities I at least know a little bit more about.
Yeah.
Why do you think people avoid diving into the actual violence that is occurring there every fucking day that exceeds over in the grand totality all of the mass shootings that there are per year, every fucking weekend? Mm-hmm. But nobody, it's like, it'll get reported like a number.
Yeah.
And they're not talking about why.
Yeah.
They're not talking about how.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't understand why those conversations are avoided. I'm not saying that they're an easy conversation, but fuck.
It's politics, man. In my opinion, it all goes back to politics. If politicians can create a specific image or hide the true image of a city, town, whatever you call it, then they can continue to drive the narrative. And, and that's what it boils down to. I mean, look at the new mayor of Chicago, right? Like, he was saying that there was, like, I saw on the news that there were, like, kids, like, rioting, and I forgot what the day is called. It's like this day where all these kids skip school, like, right before summer, and they go out and they destroy cars and public property. And he was just like, well, it's not their fault.
It kind of is.
They're scholars. It's like, well, no, it is their fault. And this is the reason why your city is losing so many businesses and so much money. And I think it all comes back to votes. Because if a specific mayor or person in charge can appease those who are continuing to vote for them, right, and keep them in that state of victimhood, then they're going to continue to get those votes.
Wouldn't they want to vote out of that victimhood, though? That's what I don't understand.
No, because people are brainwashed. I mean, so many people are like, man, I grew up in the inner city, and from the time I was young, I was taught hate the police. You're black, so you're a victim. X, Y, you could only be a rapper, drug dealer, or athlete. You either sling and crack. And this is not just from like people in my direct sphere of influence. This is by the culture. This is by hip hop culture, hip hop music, all of these different things. And when you have kids who don't have fathers in their lives, and that's the biggest problem. When you look at all of these inner cities, it's like the single parent rate is like through the roof. It's like
60-70%.
Up to 80% in places like Chicago, where there's no fathers in the home. And so when kids are getting this message and they don't have a consistent positive male role model in their life to say, hey, this is not what a man is. This is what a man is. Then they're going to continue. They're just going to fall in line with what's been happening. And if you have somebody who's a politician saying that, hey, even though you did this thing wrong, it's not your fault. It's the system's fault.
Fuck.
It's the system's fault that, you shot and murdered that person for some money or for some drugs or whatever. It's not your fault. And when you have people in leadership who are continuing to perpetuate that message, then those people are now the victims more instead of being the people that are, carrying out the crimes. And now, those people are going to continue to vote for him because this guy has painted me as a victim instead of a criminal.
Do you think it's even possible to reverse the trend in Chicago?
I think it is.
I mean, it would obviously take an immense amount of time. It's the same thing as, and I'm not trying to compare obesity to what's going on in Chicago, except for in the lens of time.
Yeah.
Nobody wakes up 200 pounds overweight. And if you're 200 pounds overweight, you don't wake up having lost that weight either overnight. It takes time.
It takes radical
change and commitment to that change.
Radical rules, tools, and edicts in order for that to happen. So I think Chicago can change, but one, it's going to have to start with the leadership. I think the people are going to have to choose. One thing I think about is, I remember reading the Bible a long time ago, and it was somewhere in the Old Testament, and the prophet said that the people are suffering because of the leaders that they're choosing. Like the people chose Saul as king, and Saul was a horrible king and led the people astray. But that's who the people wanted. They wanted Saul, and it wasn't until they got David that they realized what they actually needed, not what they wanted. So I think what it takes like a mental transformation where people begin to realize. And from what I hear, there are some people waking up in certain parts of Chicago who are like, I'm fed up with this. And I think one thing that's helped is the whole immigration situation where the immigrants are getting bused from Texas up to Chicago, and they're getting money. They get millions of dollars, for housing, and they're getting put in these schools, and people in those inner city communities like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? Why are they getting all of this stuff? And they're not even Americans, and we're Americans, and there's something wrong. And they're calling out the leaders who they've never called out before. So this situation is actually can be bad, but it's actually working out for the good in a certain way. But I think that one, it starts with the leadership. It starts with new, completely diametric leaders who are diametric from the leaders who are in power. And then, I know some people are against capital punishment.
Is that you or me?
That's not me.
Oh, it's mine.
Yeah.
So unprofessional.
Not so
I have it on the little moon thing.
That's so good.
It was my wife. She called through. She gets to go on the special contact list that can blast through that do not contact.
But I think it's strict. You gotta enforce some stricter rules. Like I know, even there was a story that came out of San Francisco about 2 or 3 weeks ago. This guy, this family, was driving through San Francisco with their 2-year-old in the backseat, and there were two gangs in a shootout. Bullet comes through the car, kills a 2-year-old instantly. All right. The guy who was charged, his murder charges were dropped. And some other charges were dropped.
I mean, what message did that send?
He's only getting 3 or 4 years in prison. He killed a 2-year-old kid. Well, he hasn't been sentenced yet, but at the end of the day, the max that he'll get is 3 to 5 years in prison, if my memory serves me right. Right. And so that creates a sense of entitlement. I can do whatever I want to do without any repercussions. And I think that that's what you see happening in Chicago, and then obviously there's this no snitching rule in the streets. Oh, you snitch, you're going to get killed. So I think that, it's going to take reworking a lot of what's been ingrained in the culture for people, for it to be cleaned up and changed.
I hope people can hold on for that ride.
Yeah.
It's not an overnight change.
No, it's not. Oh, no, this is years. This is years. But people got to be willing to want it. And I think that right now, like I said, with this immigration situation and with how brazen these murders and carjackings are in Chicago, I think the locals are beginning to wake up and saying, okay, all right.
My brother-in-law is a musician, and he was doing a show a while ago in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And they were leaving the hotel, and the hotel people said, "Don't stop at any of the red lights."
Yeah.
It's like, excuse me?
Yeah, carjackings.
Don't stop at the red lights.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm never coming back to this fucking city.
Yeah, me neither.
I grew up like 90 minutes away from San Francisco. I used to go up there all the time. I don't have a desire to go back.
Yeah.
I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I hear the homeless, not just the crime, but the homeless situation is out of control as well because the cops can't even move them. Kind of like in L.A. and in San Diego. San Diego is freaking.
I was just going to ask you because you're still living in.
Transformed, bro.
You're still living in San Diego.
Yeah, I'm
right?
still living in San Diego. You go downtown San Diego, dude. It looks like Mad Max. It's like crazy. It's like these tents everywhere. It's people walking around like some naked, and it's feces, human feces everywhere. It's like out of control. And again, it goes back to these politicians who they feel if I can allow people to do whatever they want to do or give people what they want, then they will continue to vote for me and keep me in power. One thing that my mom would always tell me when I was a kid is, I'm not your friend and I'm not supposed to be your friend. I'm supposed to be your mother. And what she was saying is that I have to make specific decisions that you won't like, but those decisions will help make you become the man that you need to become, opposed to being dead or in prison. And so the issue is we don't have leaders who are like, I'm not supposed to be your friend. I'm supposed to be the mayor. I'm supposed to be the governor. I'm supposed to be the senator or congressman of this district. And because of that, I'm going to institute some rules that you're not going to like. I'm going to do something. I'm not going to make you come out. If you're on the street and you commit a crime, you're going to get charged. Or if you freaking do whatever the case, there's going to be consequences for these actions. But there's a lot of weak leaders. A lot of weak leaders.
Indeed. Yeah, and the ones that I think are the most likely to take the position that you were just talking about and hold that would have the most difficulty being elected.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Especially if they ran on the truth of what it is that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
People are like, fuck that.
Absolutely. Because people like, they love living in their comfort zone.
Yeah, until their comfort zone gets encroached on by a naked dude throwing shit at you.
But even then, you get some people who are like, oh, well, it's not. That happened to me, but it wasn't his fault.
Kind of was.
So I'll it's okay. And then it happens again, and it happens again. There's another story out of San Francisco I read where this lady who owned this bakery shop, it was like one of the only bakeries that stayed in this particular part of San Francisco where the homeless were essentially overrun it. And she was, one of those, hey, it's okay. They can camp out here and do X, Y, and Z. Oh, don't charge people with crimes, X, Y, and Z. She got murdered. Guy came in. Actually, she was taking money. She took money out the register. I think she was going to the bank to deposit the money. Guy saw her, murdered her, took the money, ran.
Fuck, man.
So... another thing my mom will always tell me is like, some people
dragging death?
Is that it? Yeah.
Oh my God.
I think is that
I don't know
San
if this
Francisco?
This is San Francisco. I don't know if this is the exact one you're
By
talking
dragging
about.
death? Are you talking about?
This is it. This is Oakland. It was actually a well-known baker in Oakland. Yeah, this was her. Yeah. So he didn't shoot her.
I was gonna say, does that mean what I think it means? Like drug her behind a car?
Yeah. Because she was trying. I can't remember. She was trying to get out of the car.
Scroll down, Michael. She was sitting in her car at the parking lot of Wells Fargo, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
Reached into her car, grabbed her purse. She tried to get, I'm paraphrasing here, tried to get her belongings back, but was dragged by the suspect's car and hit her head on the pavement.
Yeah. Yeah. So she wasn't shot. That's where I screwed that up. But, yeah, man. My mom used to always tell me some people just need to get smacked with a sledgehammer before they learn. And not saying this in reference to this woman, but just in general. Some people just need to get crushed by life before they wake up and say, okay.
It's very not woke of you.
Yeah.
That's very anti the current trend, I think, where participation trophies are the norm and negative feedback of any kind is viewed as somehow an affront or an assault on human nature.
Yeah. It's. I work with young people in college sometimes, and it just blows my mind. It's like they would not survive in the era that we grew up in because it's like you cannot correct them. I remember hiring this person to work with me for a few weeks, and it's like you cannot say, "Hey." I mean, I did, but they don't know how to receive it. Like, yo, dude, you're late. You're 5 minutes late.
But isn't that
5 minutes late?
But isn't that objective? Because you can look at a clock and see what time you were supposed to be there.
Yeah, but hey, 5 minutes. It's like, yo, are you supposed to? No, actually, no. This girl was actually 15 minutes late. She was supposed to show up at 8:30. She didn't show up to 8:45. I corrected her on it. She took issue with it. She was like, "What are you talking about? I'm 15 minutes late." Yeah, this is a job. I'm paying you. You're supposed to be on time. And then the next day, she texts me and she's like, she texted me 15 minutes after she's supposed to be here. I just want to let you know that I'm going to be late today. Not, hey, I'm sorry. Not texting me 10 minutes before she's supposed to be here. Hey, I'm sorry. I might be late. Is that okay? It's like, I'm telling you, I'm going to be late. And it's like, again, it comes back to this sense of entitlement.
I would just write back, like, feel free not to come in because you're fired.
Well, she didn't last too long. Hopefully she's not listening to this, but the reality is she didn't last too long.
But the consequences are a direct reflection of the action.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't care enough to show up on time for a job you're getting paid for, just don't show up.
Yeah.
Because somebody else, you're replaceable.
Yeah.
Everybody is replaceable.
Everybody's replaceable. Everybody is.
And I don't, the global economy, like the global competition, isn't going to reward that mindset. And again, it's like this academic approach to kitchen mittens on your hands, I guess, handling everything with like this level of softness, which I get conceptually. Yeah, that sounds nice.
But it's unsustainable.
You're just going to get your lunch eaten, though, in a world that actually is competitive based.
100%. That's why my kids, they are going to, and I'm sure your kids too, they're going to crush life. Because
I have 3, probably 2 of the 3 will. Okay. I couldn't call which 2, but
But I'm sure that the way you're raised, because it goes back to parenting, right? Yeah. So I'm sure the way you're raised, like I know with me and my wife, it's like, hey, my kids have a chore list. You have to get it done. You don't get it done, you got to pay the man. It's like, this will happen at this time. It will be done right the first time. You're not going to do it right the second time. You're going to do it right the first time. Yeah. And I think that, and I try to raise my kids in somewhat of the same way that my mom raised me, because I want them to be able to have the edge. And I think that right now, that's how our kids will have the edge, is by having I don't even want to say hard parenting, but just having a parent that's a leader.
I'm going to say structured.
Structured, yeah. That has a standard. And it's sticking to that standard.
It's not, there's examples, and I saw them growing up, probably less frequently, but you see parents who bend to every need of their kids, and there are no consequences, and they turn into little
monsters.
cunts.
Yeah. The iPad, I have a buddy of mine, and I've talked to him like a million times. I'm like, yo, dude, like in order for him to get his daughter to eat, he has to put an iPad or a cell phone in front of her to watch videos. Like in order for her to get, she won't eat. He's like, hey, it's time for dinner.
How old is she?
Eat. She's 4 or 5 now.
I'm sure it'll get better with age.
Oh yeah. And it's like, hey, it's time to eat. Nah, I don't want to eat right now, Dad. It's time to eat. Everybody's at the dinner table. It's time to eat. No, I don't want to eat. I'll give you an iPad. Okay, I'll come eat. It's like, dude, no, you can't do that. Like, you're the parent. like, oh man. But there's only but so much that you could say sometimes. Yeah,
you can lose friendships if you push a little bit too hard on stuff like that, for sure.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's crazy, man.
Sounds like you need to run for office. You need to put this Hollywood career behind.
Nah, dude. I can't. No. I'd rather influence the culture through story. I think that, it was a story that really changed my thinking. It was, Bad Boys was the first film I watched that made me think that, what, I can be something other than an athlete or a drug dealer or a rapper.
Are you talking about the movie with Will Smith?
Yeah, Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. That was the first, because I saw these 2 characters who looked like me and came from the same place I came from, but they were somewhat cool and they were playing heroes. I had never really saw a character like that I could identify with. And so it was story that changed my thinking and had me think essentially, hey, you could be something other than what you thought you could become. And then The Rock came along, and then that was the film where I saw SEALs for the first time, and I was like, holy crap, like, this thing exists. If I turn my life around, I'll do that. So story is so powerful, and that's why, like, politics, yeah, it's cool, but I think you can influence more. You can influence I mean, look at it. A lot of what's happening in our countries, because it's being instigated by what comes out of Hollywood. It's being instigated by the cult. It's being instigated by movies and music and TV shows. They have a powerful influence, especially on young minds. And so, that's kind of why I feel like I could do more in that industry as it relates to our country and even outside of our country through story versus running for some type of political position and, just being in charge of a small little district and having to fight and negotiate with people who don't want to change. I'd lose my mind. I have mad respect for guys like Eli Crane and, some other guys from our community who's going into politics. I don't agree with every single politician that I've served with, but I have respect for them to be able to go into that and just put up with the foolishness and the backstabbing and then your family's name getting drugged through the mud through the media, and I mean that's a tough gig, man.
I got respect for them until they lose track of who they were.
Oh, 100%.
And what they ran on.
100%.
And that's, again, I go back to, I think that system, the longer you play in it, the more of a market leaves on you.
Yeah.
Much like the SEAL community, though, too. You stay into that system too long, you're going to come out of that, not a jaded person, but you're going to come out of that with an optic on the world that most people won't understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think that's right or wrong. It just is what it is.
Yeah. It's a form of conditioning.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. How long ago were you on last? Because you've done quite a bit of stuff since then.
4 years ago, man.
No, it wasn't. Michael, can you look up when Remi was on last?
Was it 3 years ago?
Well, because I want to be able to point people towards that episode because we talk a lot. Yeah. We talked a lot about your upbringing, so people can go dig into that.
Okay, cool.
Which one was it, Michael?
Looks like 140.
Okay, shit. That was like 3 years ago. Okay, you're right.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So for people who are interested in your, like, if you want to deep dive into the background, go to that episode. Yeah. To make this one a standalone, give us the wave tops.
Oh, the wave tops? Okay. I was born into a very wealthy family in Nigeria. My dad was a super successful engineer, one of the first man-made islands in the world, Banana Island. You didn't have the screen up before, but now you could put that up there if you guys have that on video.
We'll find it.
Banana Island, and Nigerian government stripped my father of that asset. He had invested millions and millions of dollars into it, and he died mysteriously weeks later. We went from super rich to having absolutely nothing. And that was the island. And my dad's named Chief Adeleke. He was also a royal chief, so in the Yoruba tribe. And so when he was gone, there was nobody to fight. My mom brought us to the States, grew up in the Bronx, didn't have a father, so ran into the streets to seek a father. In retrospect, and I know what I was actually doing. I was trying to find a father to fill that void, and got involved in selling drugs and running scams and selling phones and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Ended up getting involved in the deal with a drug dealer went bad, which was a huge wake-up call for me because my life was threatened. And then, found my way into the Navy. Navy recruiter found me, and I found her, and She took me. I had 2 warrants out for my arrest. Had a warrant in New York, warrant in New Jersey, and she took me to both judges, advocated on my behalf. This was like 9 months after 9/11, and so both judges unanimously expunged my record. She went a step further, fudged the paperwork to sneak me in the Navy. That's how I got in the Navy, and did 13 years in the Navy. Eight of those years were in the teams, and then got out and was in grad school, trying to get my master's in organizational strategy. Well, getting my master's, I eventually finished, and then ended up getting a call to work in Hollywood.
From old Michael Bay.
Oh, Michael Bay.
And for people who are interested in what you just briefly described, we went deep on the first episode you were here. So go back to that episode for those of you who want to dive in. So
and the big update is that got picked up by a major studio to be a film. So Transform, which is my memoir, my life story, I can't announce the studio yet, but they bought my life rights, my book rights, and they hired me to write the script, and then we'll be negotiating on whether I'll be directing that. So it's already like fully funded. So we've even started looking at different actors to play different roles, but that's going to be a big studio movie. So
I'm available to play you.
I'm going to have you play with my Buds instructor.
I will actually... I have no desire to go anywhere near Hollywood, but if you want me to do that, I would do that.
I'm gonna bring you in for sure.
I mean, because here's the thing.
The cameo.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
Who the fuck is gonna pretend to play that role better than me?
Exactly.
We'll bring Michael. I'll literally beat the shit out of him like I used to the students, and so it'll be a real interaction.
Yeah.
I'll put myself right back into character.
Shave his head.
Oh fuck yeah! I'll put myself right back into character and it's just like turn a camera on and I'll just do my thing.
Put the gaiters on. Oh yeah.
Just film us rolling.
I'm gonna hold you.
Be about the same.
No, that's jujitsu. That's more like soft porn.
I'm gonna hold you to that too.
I will do it. So, that's the only thing I would ever actually. That actually sounds interesting to go. just play a buds instructor because it's so easy.
Yeah. Not much acting there. It's just
There's no acting.
Scream, yell. Yeah.
It's like, I remember. I actually never did scream or yell. I went the other approach. I just talked
Oh
quietly.
yeah, you were the quiet one. The two guys I remember most quiet ones were you and I don't know if I can even say his name, but
so tell me afterwards, because
I'll tell you
I'm always
afterwards.
careful
Yeah.
too, because I don't know
Yeah.
where people are at.
Yeah.
Public facing ways. Okay, so the book is the most recent.
Which one?
Transform.
Yeah, that came out in 2019.
Okay, so that's not the most, because you just wrote another book
Yeah,
too.
Chameleon. It's a fiction thriller series. Yeah.
Okay, go back to Transform though. Your life story. So there's going to be
That's
a
gonna be
movie.
a film. Yep.
There's going to be what else?
Just for Transform, that's going to be a film. But I got another film that I did on organ harvesting. I got into human trafficking, working with different human trafficking nonprofits. Like shortly after I got out, like around the same time that I got into Hollywood. And so, fast forward, I'll just run through this for the sake of time. But I was overseas with a human trafficking nonprofit, and we were in a really, really horrible slum in DR. And we were in this particular slum where the parents sold their daughters to traffickers, and the traffickers would take the daughters to the north and sell them for sex to Westerners. And I remember I was just so freaking out of my mind. I couldn't understand it all, being a father. And then this one of our guides took me into this chapel that was no bigger than the size of two like toilet stalls. And at the end of the chapel was a dead baby in a casket. Baby was about 6 months old. And what he explained to me was that the reason why these parents sell their children is because the reason why this baby died was because the mom's breast milk ran out because she wasn't getting enough sustenance. And so she mixed formula with water, and that's what ended up killing the baby. So the parents' mindset is either we sell one of our daughters so that all of our kids can live, or we don't and our kids die. And that trip really, really freaking transformed my mindset. And when I got back, interestingly, I had a phone call from Michael Bay's producing partner, Mike Case, and he was like, "Hey, where have you been? We've been trying to get a hold of you. Your phone's been going straight to voicemail." And I was like, "I've been, overseas." And he said, Bay's starting his new film, Six Underground. Would you like to consult on it and work on it? And then in that moment, it's like a light went off in my head. I was like, okay, here I am working in this world of human trafficking, and here I am, we're also working in this world of Hollywood. How about I merge the two and try and tell a story? And so and this might have been like right around the time when I did your podcast, or either before, this was definitely after I had done your podcast.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is something that occurred after for sure.
Yeah. And I wrote a treatment. I was like, I'm a writer. I'm going to try and create a story or film, TV show, whatever it ends up becoming, that's going to be able to go out to the public so that people can be educated on the realities of human trafficking and specifically organ harvesting. Because I had I didn't even know what words human trafficking. I didn't know what that meant.
I know that term because I've sat down with a few people now who kind of interface in that world.
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about organ harvesting.
Yeah.
Is it as gnarly as what I'm thinking?
Yeah, it's a $1 billion industry. China's known for organ harvesting. There's a lot of Westerners travel down to South America in order to purchase organs from people. As a matter of fact, there's a story you can actually look it up. I think
Is this
in Costa Rica.
Is this to like skip the
Yes.
transplant list?
Yes,
and stuff?
because I think it's like somewhere around 4,000 waiting patients die every year just for kidney transplants. These are patients who can't get a kidney transplant. I think that's the number, somewhere around that number. And so you get people who are desperate. They're willing to do whatever it takes, especially when they have money to be able to get the organs that they need. And it's vast. I mean, Eastern Europe, Ukraine right now, there's a lot of like organ harvesting stuff coming out. And typically human trafficking happens the most in areas where a natural disaster hits or war hits. The short film that I directed, which is now going to be a feature film, which is what I was going to get to. The victim in that was Yazidis. And what ISIS did was, because when the different agencies came in and pretty much cleared out their poppy fields and cut off their ways to be able to transport money, they started trafficking the Yazidis for sex, organ harvesting in some cases, and labor. It was crazy. I mean, the UN had finally acknowledged I think it was like 2014 or 2015, Yazidis genocide as a genocide. It took them a while to acknowledge that, but essentially, it typically happens in places where there's strife or a natural disaster, like Haiti. When there was an earthquake in Haiti, human trafficking went way up. What's happening on the border? I interviewed a guy who was trafficked from from Venezuela to Colombia, Colombia to Mexico. He was, now let me be careful, he was tricked. Essentially what the cartel has been doing, and not just the cartel, but other traffickers, is they've been sending out pamphlets and email blasts to throughout South America and other people in other parts of the world and saying, hey, come here to the border because we'll be able to get you in. And so this particular guy who I interviewed, he went from Venezuela to Colombia, Colombia to Mexico, got on the border. The people who essentially coordinated that email communication, kind of truncating it for the sake of time, they were there waiting for him, put him on the border for like a day. He sold some stuff. About a day later, car pulls up. Guys jump out at gunpoint, forces him into the trunk. There's already 2 people in the trunk, butt naked, drives him out to this, place in the boondocks of Mexico, and the girls were used for sex trafficking in this particular building / house. The men were used for labor, and they were also used essentially. The men had to get like somewhere around $20,000 to $30,000. This whole interview is on my YouTube channel where I have the short film. But the men had to get $20,000 to $30,000 from the U.S. and once they got that money, then they were released, and the kids were used as mules because the tunnels that the cartel used to go from Mexico into the U.S. they're so small that women and grown men can't fit through. So the kids were used as essentially drug mules to move the drugs through the tunnels into the U.S. So again, and why is it happening at exponential numbers right now on the border? Because it's a crisis on the border. And a lot of people are not talking about it. You get some politicians who do talk about it, but one thing I asked a guy at the end of the interview, I was like, what would be your message to the American government? And he said, get the border under control. You guys have created a breeding ground for trafficking because there's no control, there's no rule, there's no law. Everybody feels like they're accepted to come in, and then they come in and they get wrapped up by cartel and traffickers and other people. So essentially, a lot of this trafficking is caused by strife, poverty, natural disasters, war, so on and so forth. So
everything you just described is exactly why AI is going to kill us all.
Yeah. Because once it, like
we
I said,
are the worst. As a fucking species towards humans.
Yeah.
What we are willing to do to other human beings is so like what you're describing.
Yeah.
Is so beyond the pale.
It's crazy. crazy.
AI is going to look at that and go,
if they're doing that to them, to each other, what will they do to me?
AI is just going to go, shh.
Yeah. Yeah. What will they do to me? Check out this story if you can find it. It's just, I think it's out of Costa Rica. Just, I don't know if you Google like Costa Rica, Israeli doctor, Westerners or something like that, organ harvesting.
What's your YouTube channel called so people could watch that short film?
It's just Remi Adeleke. So Remiadeleke. So Remi Adeleke.
Right, fair
it's
enough.
32 minutes. And, but yeah, down in Costa Rica, there was a Israeli doctor, and a lot of people, and that's another thing a lot of people don't realize about human trafficking or harvesting. They think when they think of it, they think of like these scraggly, like dirty, skinny, like nefarious looking dudes. In reality, a lot of them are intelligent. They're doctors because they have to perform the surgeries. They're nurses. As a matter of fact, there was an organ harvesting ring that was busted in Egypt, I want to say somewhere around 2015 or 2016. And millions of dollars were recovered. And the majority of the people that were arrested and detained were doctors and nurses. Like it was like 60 people arrested and detained, and like 40 of them were doctors and nurses. There was another story out of India where a woman was...
So this is the Israeli one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Costa Rica. Is that Costa Rica?
Yep.
Yeah.
Kidneys.
Yeah. Yeah.
Israel, Eastern Europe.
Yeah. And so you get Americans, and that's what my short film focuses on. You get Americans who will travel down to Mexico or DR to get the new organ, and the traffickers will meet them in that place to provide the organ. And
Scroll down a little bit, Mike.
Yep.
And we're talking a lot of money. I mean, a human, I think kidneys and...
Israeli doctors had performed kidney removal operations on some Costa Rican donors.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Kidneys and livers go for about $100,000 on the black market. A heart can go for, I think it starts, well, not go, when I say start, it starts at $100,000. I think a heart goes for somewhere around $250,000. That's where bidding starts. Cornea eye starts around $30,000.
Where are they bidding for these things?
You know, what's it, black web?
Black web? Dark web?
Dark web. Social media. Social media has been the biggest driving force for how traffickers are communicating with people and finding buyers. That I think there was an article that came out a couple weeks ago about Facebook and Instagram, how Facebook and Instagram has been used for a lot of human trafficking. I think the percentages have gone up. I don't know if you could Google that. But they're using social media. They're creating fake accounts.
It's plain sight.
Searching hashtags and doing all these different things. They're phishing for people, and that's a lot of how it's happening. And people who are desperate, especially if you're here in America and you got like a month to live. And I'm not saying that it's right, but you have a month to live, and you're like, and somebody sees that you're posting on social media that you need a new kidney, or you're posting, videos or pictures of you going to your going to your doctor's visit, and then you get a message, hey, you want a kidney? Desperate?
Wow.
So this is for child.
That's what sex trafficking. But yeah,
sex trafficking.
It's all different
similar.
chapters of the same book.
Oh, it's all the same thing. They're using the same mechanisms. And so that was a reason why I created the short film, because and now going to be doing a feature film, because I didn't know the scale of this. I mean, human trafficking, and we say human trafficking, a lot of people just think of sex trafficking. There's so many different facets. There's organ harvesting, sex trafficking, labor, there's forced marriage, there's blood trafficking. There's a story out of, I think, Vietnam recently, where a guy from China came to Vietnam to do business, and he was wrapped up by this gang, and they essentially blood trafficked him. They kept on taking his blood out, feeding him, giving him water. A few days passed, take his blood out, and they were doing something with his blood. There was another story that came out that I read 2 weeks ago, last week, at Harvard University, where they were trafficking dead tissue. So there was a guy, there was a couple who worked at Harvard morgue, and they were
he was selling body parts.
Yeah.
The picture of the guy, he looks totally normal.
Yeah.
There he is.
Yeah.
Scroll down, Michael.
Yeah. That's the kind of guy you want working at your morgue.
I mean, I'm sorry. Like, this is... I'm not trying to judge a book by its cover, right? Yeah. But this is where it's like, hey, you see a picture of this guy, and it's like trafficked organs. You're like, yeah, no shit.
Yeah, he looks like the kind of guy.
It's like our friend Jack Carr.
Yeah.
Pull up a picture of Jack Carr, if you would, Michael.
Yes.
Because Michael knows where I'm going with this. But let's play the same game. I like Jack Carr very much.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He started buds with me, not mentally or physically strong enough to graduate, so he got rolled and graduated a little bit later.
Yeah.
But let's look at that picture on the right with the shotgun.
Yeah.
If we didn't know him and somebody was like, he diddled kids, you'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, he looks like it. I'm just joking, Jack.
I'm not.
Hey, Jack wrote an awesome endorsement for my book, so I got to kind of dial that back a little bit.
Love you, Jack. Don't touch kids.
But yeah, man.
That's like no shit, he fucking sold body parts.
Yeah, but when you dive deeper into the article, you find out that he had a whole network. They had a whole system in place for how they were moving these body parts around, and people who were buying and spending a lot of money.
Yeah, it doesn't happen in a vacuum.
No. And that was another reason why I wanted to make the film, to show people how sophisticated and how many resources these traffickers have, and how they're moving people around, and they're making millions of dollars. I mean, in some cases, again, it's $1 billion industry.
Yeah.
So yeah, I made the film and threw it out there, and that film, some people in Hollywood caught wind of it, and they ended up in a G-Base, Gerard Butler's production company, Alan Siegel. They picked up the rights, and then we got the producer, Michael Gabrawi. He produced Hotel Mumbai and a bunch of other stuff for Thunder Road. Him and his team are coming on and financing the film, and right after the writer's strike lifts, we're going into production on a feature film. It takes place 5 years after the events of the short film, so the short film is essentially a prequel to the feature. But going back to the point you made about politics and going into politics, I can affect more people through story, because when I put that film on YouTube, I got so many people that was like, I never knew that this even existed.
Yeah.
And now I want to get involved, even if it's as simple as me going on a human trafficking website and finding and seeing learning what the signs and symptoms of a traffic victim are, or learning how I can donate or how I can get involved and use my talent and resource. I've had so many people who've now engaged in this fight against human trafficking because of the film, and that was my goal. I wanted to use it to inspire or motivate people in some way to do something, to get behind this fight against this multi-billion-dollar industry.
Have you always been this creative? It sounds like you're very effectively navigating your way through I mean, I don't even know if most stuff is made in Hollywood anymore because you hear about shit in Vancouver and Atlanta and all this stuff. But a storytelling world.
I would say it comes from my mom. You know, when we were kids, you know, my mom, she was a creative writer. And whereas some parents put a football or baseball or, you know, jujitsu in front of their kids and say, hey, get to work, my mom was all about writing. She would give my brothers and I books and New York Times articles and make us read them and then write reports and figure out how to not change the story but articulate the story in a literary format with our thoughts. She had us doing that from the time we were like 6, 7 years old. And if the reports weren't near perfect, we had to pick another article or another book and start again. So I think that story, going back to the point that was brought up earlier, whether, you know, somebody's born or made to do something, I think maybe the DNA was there. My dad's an engineer. And, you know, and part of being a storyteller is you have to be an engineer. You have to be able to engineer a story. You have to understand story beats, 3-act structure, character arc, climax, antagonist, protagonist, where certain things happen in the story beats, hero's journey, all these different things. You got to know that. But I think, and I had to learn that. But at the same time, I think that some of that was ingrained in me from the DNA from my dad being an engineer and learning how to build an island, and then me now learning how to put the pieces together to tell a story. But my mom really helped refine that storytelling muscle within me.
What's the favorite part of what you're doing right now?
Impacting people, you know, impacting people and having people see things from a different perspective, telling stories where, you know, people like who come from where I come from see themselves in a character and say, oh, I can be X, Y, and Z, kind of like what Bad Boys did for me. Showing people a different side of things. For example, you know, even in the Chameleon book, like it's not just an action thriller. It's somewhat of a political thriller as well, but it also has a lot of heart in there. And I wanted people to read the book and be like, oh, but because the underlying theme in the book is political division. And then at the end, that really comes to the forefront, and this decision that the president has to make. And I wanted to put that in there so that people could see how politics has divided us. And I don't want to give away too much, but it's divided us to the point where there's certain family members don't even want to sit in the same room as other family members. And it's like,
that's super real.
Yeah.
Like neighbors who are literally fist fighting over what is written on a fucking piece of paper in there. Some of my favorite videos, have you ever seen where people put like batteries on political signs?
No, I didn't see that.
Oh, and because the neighbors will come pick them up and they get shocked. Or other people will put like pieces of tire strips because people have been driving by in cars and knocking. We're just getting ready to go back into the season again in 2024.
Oh yeah, it's going to get crazy.
People were getting savage.
It was getting crazy, and that was why I wanted to essentially put the pill in the donut. With Chameleon, and like going back to the main question is, that's what I love about being a storyteller, being able to plant a seed or impact a person directly or inspire a person to see something from a different perspective or in a different way. And there's no other medium that could do that like story.
You can hide a lot. Yeah, I hadn't really thought about it like that, but as far as a delivery mechanism for I mean, entertainment, obviously, but you can hide a lot of influence in that entertainment as well.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
What's the most challenging part about the world you're working in?
Oh man, you got another 2 hours.
Yeah.
Just dealing with people who are backstabbing, man. You know what I mean? Just you know, people who don't keep their word. That was one thing that I learned. Like I got out in 2016, and when I got out, I was of the mindset, oh, everybody's going to have integrity. Everybody's going to show up on time.
No.
And I
what
felt,
the fuck did you think that?
I don't know why. You know, going back to what you said earlier about conditioning, when somebody's in something for a long period of time. I was in the military for 13 years. And so, you know, for the most part, I was around quality people, right? I was around people who they kept their word. They went above and beyond to complete a task. They showed up on time. It was like that was just the standard, right? And so because of 13 years of having that, when I got out, I was just somewhat brainwashed into believing that, oh, everybody who seems nice is like that. And I quickly learned getting into the business that that's not the case. And I had to get upset over and over and over again to finally learn that. And so that's the hardest part about being in a business is you're just dealing with backstabbing people who will try and steal ideas, people who will try to manipulate you for money. I mean, that's the biggest thing. People are trying to steal your ideas or still like, for example, Chameleon is an IP now. My Transform is an IP. That was one thing I learned getting into the business, is that it's not just about writing a screenplay, because there's a million screenplays in Hollywood. Studios want to ensure that they're going to make them, well, they want to try to ensure that they're going to make their money
They
back.
want to make the best investment possible.
Yeah, and the way they do that is by investing in an already established IP, because it has an already established audience, so they can start counting, okay, if these many people bought the book, then X amount of people are most likely going to come to the movie. And you'll get people who will try and steal, who will try to manipulate. I've had people stand in front of me and try to talk to me like, oh, so hey, buddy, I got this good idea, and just give me this, just sign away this to me, and everything be. I'm like, bro, you know who you're talking to, man? Like, you can't manipulate me. Like I know what you're doing. I've had people in the military. I ain't gonna say what branch, but in the military, who have been in the business for a long period of time, and who've taken me out to like a 5-star dinner and brought like a celebrity to the dinner, and they're talking, hey, brotherhood, right? Brotherhood, yeah, I'm gonna take care of you. Look, I'm bringing this people here. Hey, sign over here and give this up. You know what I mean?
Do they say it that on the nose?
Well, not that. I'm paraphrasing, for the sake of time, but that's essentially the end result. The end result is they're trying to get something out of you. And so I would say that that's the frustrating part about being in the business. It's hard to trust people. And that's why when you find people that you trust, you got to stick with. Like my agent, I've been with my agency for 3 years. I love them. They're awesome. They've done good by me. And I have a publicist and a lawyer, my lawyer, who I trust. And then once you find those people who you could trust, you got to stick with them, because they will protect you through and through.
How far do you want to take it?
I want to just keep making movies, man. That's it. I mean, I just want to. I don't know how long. I don't know if I want to be.
Like features? Do you like shorter
features,
stuff?
No, features. 100% features. Like this first feature that I'm doing after the writer's strike is going to be my first one, and then from there, that's going to play a role in me being able to direct Transform, which is my memoir. Is the studio's like, oh yeah, we'll give you a shot of directing it if you direct Unexpected Redemption, which is a sequel to the human trafficking film. So get that off the ground and jump into Transform, then maybe jump into another project. But yeah, man, like it's that
seems like you're stacking the dominoes pretty well.
Yeah. You got to have multiple options, multiple different stories to tell, because it's going to take time. It's taken me. I mean, this film was announced in September, and we just now raised the budget, which is a $35 million budget. We just raised that budget like a month ago. And that was hard in and of itself, because we had to find investors, and then we got the investor, and then we have to get specific talent. But it's like freaking it's maddening sometimes, because you got to get talent, because this talent has this value in this specific territory in Europe, and X amount of people in Europe likes this specific actor, so we can kind of gauge how many people are going to come see that movie. So we could sell foreign rights to England, or we could sell foreign rights to Ukraine, or we could sell foreign rights, and now before the movie even goes into production, we're making our money back. So it's like a whole science behind it, and it's taken so long to get the money. And that's a good thing about Transformed, is I'm working with a studio so they don't have to raise money. They're a bank. All studios are banks at the end of the day anyway. But it's been a lot. So I want to be able to keep doing that, and the more projects that I get under my belt, especially after I get Unexpected Redemption, then it's easier to work in a studio system, because studio executives will be like, okay, you were trusted with a $35 million budget, and then you were trusted with another 30. Okay, you could do whatever. You know what I mean?
What's the writer's strike all about?
So every, I want to say 3 or 4 years, the WGA, which is Writers Guild of America, they go to the negotiation table with the AMPTP, which represents all of the studios and streamers, and they negotiate on what our fees are going to be for writing a spec script, or purchasing a spec script, or being commissioned to write a screenplay. They negotiate on what our residuals are going to look like. They also negotiate on other stuff like AI. Do we want AI to be used in screenwriting or not? So it's a whole lot of things, and it has to happen every 4 years because of inflation and studios making more money and this and that. So every few years it happens. And so
The strike happens or the
no,
negotiation?
the negotiations happens. The last strike was in 2007.
Okay.
It went from 2007 to 2008. It was like 4 months, I believe. No, it was 100 days. And the strike before that was, I want to say, in the late 70s, early 80s, and that was 160 days.
What's the current one at?
It started May 2nd, and we're still on the strike. So we're I want to say over 60 days, around 60 right now.
Okay.
Yeah, man, it's about residuals. It's about money. These streamers are making a lot of money, and that is not trickling down. Now, we got to remember that the last time we negotiated with streamers, if my memory serves me right, was in 2007, but that was called new media. Streaming wasn't what it is now. And so, for example, you'll get somebody who will write on a TV series for network TV, and they'll get a $40,000 residual check. And then you'll get somebody who will write on a Netflix series, and they'll get like a $400 residual check. So it's a big difference in money.
Yeah.
Because it hasn't been, under the previous new media agreement, it hasn't been updated to meet what these streamers, and these streamers are making billions of dollars. And so it's not adding up. So that's one of the sticking points. Another sticking point is AI. So essentially, as I mentioned earlier, the studios, when the WGA said, we do not want AI to be used. If it's going to be used, then a WGA writer has to be attached to that screenplay. So essentially, our position was, okay, if you're going to use the technology, then you got to hire a WGA writer. After the AI spits out the script, the WGA writer comes in, polishes the script, and then that WGA writer gets credited solely for that script. If it's two WGA writers, and two WGA writers gets credited for that script. And the studio said no.
How do you stop that from actually occurring anyway? I mean, it's a damn creative tool.
Yeah, it's a tool.
I was going to say, so how would you even stop a writer from using AI and just not telling anybody they're using AI to begin with?
Well, the issue isn't the writers using the AI. The issue is the studios using the AI.
Cutting out the writer in totality.
Yeah, it's the studios essentially using it, which some already are. It's essentially plugging in. We want to make a story about a former CIA agent that goes rogue because he hates America, whatever the case may be. They plug those.
Call him Jason Bourne.
Yeah, Jason Bourne. Yeah, puts that into the screenwriting AI technology software, whatever it's called, and it spits out a script like that. Okay,
I've done this.
Yeah, and now have you?
I did.
Which
I asked it to write I don't know if people believe me, but I asked it to write a script about a gay vampire who could only get blood from sucking somebody's dick
Yikes.
all the way through history. I'm just like, how good is it? 100%.
And the script, 120 pages?
15 chapters.
Oh, wow. Oh, so it's a book. But that's crazy. But yeah, man, and the studio said, no, we want to be able to use it because then after that, they bring on an assistant or an executive at the studio he's getting paid a salary, and then he or she does a polish on that script, and now they saved what? If WGA scale, which is like the bare minimum for a WGA writer to write a screenplay, is $110,000, then they've already saved $110,000 by having a writer write that script. Then every time we do a polish on the script or we have to do a rewrite on the script, we have to get paid X amount of dollars, and that adds up. And then we got to get residuals. So at the end of the day, we're talking about somewhere between $500,000 to, depending on the writer, if it's like Aaron Sorkin, millions of dollars the studio saving on one script. And so that's their position. And that's why
sounds
they
like a cutthroat industry.
It is, man. It is. But yeah, man, it sucks, and the strike sucks. I had 2 contracts on the table the night of the writer's strike, and we couldn't close the deal. My lawyers told me don't sign the contract because they were like, if you sign a contract in the state, you're going to get screwed. The studio was pushing me to sign a contract, and we couldn't close the deal. So I lost like in one night, like close to $1 million. Yeah, in pay. Yeah, that's up front and back
goddamn,
end.
dude.
Yeah. And but I had to take one for the team. It was like, hey, dude, like writer's strike. You can't negotiate anymore. You're not gonna sign this deal, and you're just gonna lose this money for now. And there was a potential that I could have lost the money because after the writer's strike, the studios could have been like, nah, we don't want to do this story. We don't want to work with you anymore. But I was with my lawyer in Nashville like 4 weeks ago. She was like, oh, yeah, no, we still talk to the studio. We're just talking about different parts of the contract that doesn't have to do with the writer side of things. So
I was going to say, after the strike I'm assuming at some point bridge will be created that is amenable to both sides, and then does it just go back to status quo?
Yeah, everything goes back to normal. Well, once the term, whatever the new terms are that are agreed upon, those will be implemented, and then for the most part, everybody can go back to work. People in writers' rooms could go back to writers' rooms, which was another sticking point. Was the WGA wants they want to get rid of mini rooms. So essentially, on some TV shows like The Last of Us, right? Especially like HBO Max shows and some Netflix shows, you'll just have 1 to 2 writers. In most cases, 1 writer, and so the WGA wants to get rid of it. That's called a mini room. Anytime there's a TV show that has 4 writers or less, that's considered a mini room, and so that kind of minimizes how many people can work on a job. Mm-hmm. And so the WGA wants, like, I think if my memory serves right, it's like somewhere between 10 or 11 writers per
Interesting.
room. So Taylor Sheridan actually spoke out about that. He doesn't like that point.
The Yellowstone guy?
Yeah. Because he writes from episode 1 all the way through. He writes the whole season.
So why is that show falling apart?
I think
like
it was
Kevin Costner's
Kevin
like,
Costner.
fuck yourself.
I think Kevin Costner walked away with some. I mean, I don't know everything, but I read some articles and it was like Kevin Costner and Taylor wasn't getting. I mean, from what I hear, Taylor Sheridan, there was a few team guys, Kenny Sheridan, a few guys that work with him on a project. Like, he's a strong personality, kind of like an alpha. And from what I hear, Kevin Costner is a strong personality, kind of like an alpha. So, from what I hear, there was a lot of button.
There can only be one big boss.
Yeah. That's what I hear. You know what I mean? Like,
fair enough.
And then things went what they
heard. Michael Bay can be kind of an asshole too.
Michael Bay. He will text me out of the blue, like, "Hey Remi, what you doing?" Dude, I'm chilling. Hey, why don't you come work on this movie? It's great. It's a big idea. It's cool. I'm like, all right, cool. He's a funny guy, man. And I'll text him. He'll be like, "Hey, text me tomorrow." I'll text him tomorrow. I won't get a response for like 3-4 weeks. Why didn't you respond? Dude, I responded to you. I sent you a text back. He's like, oh, yeah, I didn't see it.
It's literally in the text, right above the text you just sent me.
Yeah, you had to have seen my response. But he's a good dude, man. He's the one that really...
Tell him to take it easy on the white pyro, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Like Six Underground is exactly the same. It's all that white pyro. It's the very Transformer-esque.
Yeah, that's his thing.
Just back it off a little bit.
That's his signature. But you know what? The dude really helped. He's the one that really inspired me to get... not just be a writer, but move into the writing and directing side. When I was actually on Six Underground, there were times where Bay was like, what do you think about this shot? What do you think about this scene? And he allowed me to give input. And I was like, oh, this is cool. And I started to be able to see things from the perspective of director. And I was like, dude, I could do this. I could do this. And, another thing that really pushed me along with Michael Bay was, after I did a rewrite on a script for a major producer and production company. And after I did that rewrite, the producers would, and this was a big producer, he was going to directors and trying to get directors attached, and kept on saying, hey, it's awesome script, but I'm booked up for the next 2 years, I'm booked up for the next 4 years, I'm booked up. And it got to a point where I was just like, dude, like, I need to learn directing. And Michael Bay's already kind of planted that seed. I need to kind of focus in on that a little bit more, because I don't want to have to write a project. And kind of like I was talking to you about a project last time, The Last Shall Be First. That project still hasn't gotten made because we couldn't get a director to attach to it, because there's just so many directors that are busy, and that they like the project. Like, I was going to do it with another big production company. They loved the project, but then they wanted to structure the deal a certain way, so it didn't work out. If I was a director, then the structure of the deal would have worked out a lot better for me. And so that was when I was like, you know what? I need to learn directing so that I need to get some stuff under my belt so that I can now get the job. And it's almost like in the teams, like, who's the guy who gets to go on every op? It's a guy who has the most. If you're a corpsman, for the most part, you're going to go on op, right?
Don't forget the J-Tag.
Yeah, but if you're J-Tag's going to go on every op. But if you're a corpsman, a corpsman who's also a breacher, a J-Tag, or sniper, you're definitely going on every op, because because you have all the assets that's needed for operation. And that's it's almost the same way in the film and TV business. If you want to get something made, the more hats you could wear, if you could be the writer, if you could be the producer, if you could be the director, and you've already kind of knocked out 3 things. Obviously, you're going to have to have some other producers on board to really check you so that you're not working in a silo. But for the most part, you've checked like 3 of the major boxes, and now all you got to do is now get an actor. You know what I mean? And I'm not acting anymore, but we look at people like Michael B. Jordan. That dude could greenlight a movie by himself because he's an actor, a major movie star, who's a director. So now somebody gives him a script, he's like, and he wants to do it, it's going to get made. So that it's the same way in the film and TV business. That's why I was like, you know what? I got to learn all of these different roles so that way I can get stuff made. And that's what played a role in getting Unexpected Redemption financed and made. Was one, they saw that I could write the script, the producers and the financiers. Two, they saw that I can consult on it because I've lived in that space. And three, they saw that I could direct it. And it was like, all right, here's $35 million. Let's go make the movie.
What's the hardest thing about directing in your experience so far?
Hardest thing about directing, getting people to move in a time frame that you need them to move in.
Oh, so it's the same as the military.
It's the same as the military. I would say for me that's part.
So they're identical.
But it's also doing it in a way where you don't piss people off. Because you got to remember, like in the military, dude, especially in the teams, it's like, yo, hurry up,
Let's
you
go,
can say whatever.
motherfucker.
Yeah, what are you doing, turd? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't do that on a movie set. You can't be like, hey, you
Has anybody told Michael Bay that?
A few people have. But, he's been in the business for a long time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I haven't, so I can't be
He's swinging
like,
one of the bigger dicks in the industry, if you will.
Yeah, it's like you got to work your way up to that. Just like you can't just be handed $1.2 million and expected to be able to handle it. You got to work your way up to be able to do that kind
Fair
of
enough.
stuff. But I don't think even when when, I'm not going to even say if, but when I get to that level, I don't think I'd ever be that type of director.
I don't think you would either.
Yeah,
I think, you have a little bit of more of a, I actually don't know shit about Bay's background, but I would say your experience is probably a little bit more diverse. Life experience is touch more diverse.
Yeah.
What did he do before doing what he does now? How did he find his way?
He was a commercial director.
Okay.
So he did commercials. He did music videos. The commercial that really blew him up was the Got Milk commercial. He came up with that whole Got Milk slogan. Really? Yeah. So he did that commercial, and then that's Jerry Bruckheimer, producer, kind of saw the commercial. It's like, yo, I'm doing this movie called Bad Boys. And sent him the script. They would Lovitz was attached to it. It was like two white dudes. It was like Lovitz and another like big comedian. At
Originally,
the time.
That's what it was.
Yeah. And then
that would have flopped.
Oh yeah, yeah. Lovitz. I forgot the other guy's name, but yeah, that's how he got his start. And then Bad Boys to I think The Rock to Armageddon. And once you get two big ones under your belt and they're successful financially. Critically, but at the end of the day, Hollywood is a business. Everybody wants to make their money back and make a lot more money as well. So,
what would a studio? I mean, if a studio was forced to make a choice between a critical acclaim success or a blockbuster from a monetary perspective, which way they going?
Oh, money all day long, all day long. They could care less. There's some movies.
Rotten Tomatoes. Who gives a fuck?
Who cares? This
We're
movie
wiping
made
our ass with
$1 billion.
hundos.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all about the Benjamins. And that was another thing that I had to learn, and one thing that I'm still trying to balance as a filmmaker is, it's a business. Even in the screenplay, when you're writing certain scenes, you got to think about how much is going to cost to produce this action sequence, or what can I put in this film that's going to appeal to not just one audience but multiple audiences. Even like kind of similar to what I did with my book, like this Chameleon, this upcoming one. Like I have intentional flashback chapters where we're flashing back to the main character's past in Nigeria because his life is like kind of loosely based off of mine a bit, and I did that for the female audience because the majority of people who buy books are actually females, and then they'll buy books for their husbands or their spouses or their brothers or sisters, whoever the case, brothers and uncles, whoever the case may be. And so when I was writing, I was thinking about it from a business perspective as well, right? And that's the same way filmmakers have to think. And it took me time to learn that, especially as a writer, because I'm writing like these crazy action sequences and planes and
a fleet of
it's like
C-17s dotted the sky. It was so dark. Like CGI budget's about $40 million.
And it's like, dude, you got to think about this. You know what I mean? Yeah, it is going to cost some money. Who you going to pay for it? No, I'm not going to pay for it. Who's going to pay for it? The studio's going to pay. I don't think they will. And so it's just thinking about the business side of things and not just how much things are going to cost, but how can I appeal to different demographics so that we can get butts in seats. And that's a delicate dance because at the end of the day, it's a business, and studios want to make that coin.
Yeah. What's your writing process like for your books? Where do you start? How do you template it up?
So it starts for me before I write a project, whether it's a book or a screenplay. Like I have in my phone, I have a notepad. I use the notepad, that app, and essentially
like this one that's native to an iPhone.
Yeah. So like like for example,
Yeah,
unexpected feature. Like even before I started writing it, like ideas will come to me. I would just drop them there. Like Chameleon book. Book 1 is coming out in July, but book 2 and 3 I haven't even. I'm working on book 2, but book 3 has not even going to start writing that for a number of years. But when ideas come to me, I just drop them in there.
Okay.
You know, and
so that's the
that's it.
origin of the idea or the inception. How do you?
Starts.
When you wrote Chameleon, do you write it sequentially? I'm always fascinated by authors. You go sequentially. Did you have a chapter outline? Like, talk me through your process.
Yeah, you know, I always write sequentially. I can't imagine like writers who are able to write like the middle of a book and that I don't know how people do that. Like 1 + 1 = 2 for me. I need one thing always has to lead to the next one and build to the next one. So I always write sequentially. It takes me going back to that notepad after for example, I had like 10 years of notes for Chameleon because Chameleon had been in my head for like 10 years before I wrote. It actually started out as a screenplay. So it started out as a screenplay. I wrote the screenplay. It was the first screenplay I wrote. And I had like 10 years of notes where I just was able to now go back to that folder and now structure. I take those notes that I have, whether it's a character or something a character does, or whether it's a specific scene that I saw, or whether it's a specific story arc that I plan in there. I take all of that and I put it into a structure.
As your skeleton.
As a skeleton. But it's not necessarily an outline because you can't really outline with bullet pointed notes. You got to fill in a little bit more. And I have what's called a tentative outline. So I never write to a firm outline. I don't believe in that because I believe in allowing the characters to tell the story. Once you create a character and you know their quirks, you know their likes, their dislikes, you have to stay true to that. And if you stay true to that, when you get to page 10 of the screenplay, you're going to have a better idea how that character is going to respond to to dialogue or how that character is going to react to a specific situation. You're still staying in the framework of the outline, but you're allowing that character to essentially drive the story, to drive the plot. And so I have an outline, but it's not a firm outline. Sometimes my outline will just be for like the first half of a book or a screenplay, or maybe for the first quarter of a book or a screenplay, because I know that once I get to the quarter mark of the screenplay, the story is going to start telling itself. The characters are going to start telling me where to go. It's like the weirdest thing, but the characters will start telling me where to go and what to say and how things will work out. For Chameleon, I knew how it was going to start. I knew somewhat of what I wanted to happen in the middle, and I knew for a fact what was going to happen in the end. And so I just had to kind of allow the characters to get me there, if that makes sense. So that's typically my process for the most part. And sometimes that outline not sometimes, every time, whatever outline that I create, if you hold that outline up against the final product, you'll see 2 completely different stories because I allowed the character to tell the story, opposed to forcing the outline to make me write what the outline says it needs to write. I need to write.
How do you know when you're done?
Well, for a screenplay, 120 pages. Yeah.
Can it be more if you want it to be more?
It can be more. It can be more. So my transform script is the first draft of it was 163 pages. It's a biopic. Typically, biopics run from anywhere between 140 pages to, Malcolm X was a 200-plus page screenplay. That was a film that Spike Lee did. But then you look at, like, Aaron Sorkin, he writes a lot of dialogue, so Social Network, that was like 180 pages, right? And
How many pages will my character be playing?
Let's see. I think you'll be in about... Total, you'll probably be in about 10 pages.
Is that good or bad?
That's a good thing.
Okay, good.
That's a good thing. Yeah. You might be eligible for an Oscar. That's enough screen time for an Oscar.
Can I slap somebody at the Oscar ceremony?
You can. You might go to jail this time, but you can.
Thoughts on that whole debacle?
Oh, that was nuts. That was embarrassing, man. It was just like,
That's a good description of it.
Yeah.
That was a weird, like, cup spilling over with, like, gravy on a white linen dinner table.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It was just like, it was sad. I mean, you feel bad for, it's just, I gave mad kudos to Chris Rock because I tell you what, if that was me, I would have done something.
I don't
for the
think
public.
Mr. Smith would have slapped you.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
But you know, but you could tell, and a lot of people have touched on it. I would say, you know, there's I think it was more to it. There's a lot of things, a lot of hurts, a lot of pains, a lot of insecurities, things that, you know, he's dealt with in his past, maybe even dealt with in his marriage, that it finally just blew up. Doesn't justify it at all.
Do you mean that it's tough to deal with the fact your wife's riding somebody else's dick like a hobby horse?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
I would think
my
so.
description, perhaps not necessarily his, but
Yeah, yours definitely not mine. Definitely not mine.
yeah, that's not easy.
Yeah.
In a public, like, first off, I can't even fathom
Yeah.
living in a world of that level of scrutiny. Like, I don't even know how those people get time to themselves. Well, I mean, I know how they get time to themselves. They don't fucking go outside.
Yeah.
They create artificial environments where all of those lenses, literally and metaphorically, can't come in. I can't.
Yeah.
It cannot be.
It's not healthy.
Well, I don't wonder if it's even at the end of the day enjoyable.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. I would say, I mean, not, you know, not because I haven't experienced that realm, but just knowing other celebrities, it's like it definitely isn't.
I remember
enjoyable.
hearing stories about celebrity, but for a different reason. Like Troy Aikman at the peak of his football playing career would go. He wanted to go clothing shopping, so he would have to arrange to go to malls at night when they were closed, so he could actually shop like that. Man,
That's got to be tough.
it's like you're so famous that you actually can't live a life and do the mundane things that, quite frankly, sometimes are really enjoyable.
Yeah, but that's a trade-off, though, right? I mean, with all that money, all that attention. I'm not saying it's cool, but that's a trade-off. It's like, and you got. I would say that I have no desire to be famous or any of that stuff, but I've met a lot of actors starting out where they want to be famous.
Well, that's the light, right? That the moth is being drawn to.
Yeah, they want to be famous. They want the attention. They want to sign autographs. They want to go to the parties and everybody know their names. And you know, I'm not saying every actor is like that in Hollywood, but it starts out that way.
Yeah.
It starts out that
That's
way,
real for sure.
and then it becomes a monster that kind of like what we talking about in Chicago. That's uncontrollable. You know what I mean? And then you have some celebrities who turn to drugs or other things to kind of escape. You know, look at Philip Seymour Hoffman, brilliant actor. You know what I mean? And that I don't think. Yeah, I personally, I'm of the belief that no human being was created to receive worship and extreme admiration from another human being.
Especially when they're young.
Especially when they're young. And
It seems like you can tolerate it a little bit better the more laps you have around the sun.
Yes.
But the earlier in life you get it, I heard somebody describe it once. Whatever age you are when you become famous, that's the age you are for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So if you like find it in your 40s, you can probably
manage it better. Yeah.
you manage it better. You have such a different context on the world.
Yeah.
If you find it when you're 6 because you were a Disney star because your parents wanted you to be a Disney star.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That might be a little bit rough.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't imagine. Look at Michael Jackson. I mean, he was like, I never thought of it that way, being stuck at that age. But for the most part, he was like stuck at that age.
Yeah.
Even into his 40s, you know, he's still like a kid.
Very disturbing documentary on Mr. Jackson.
Yeah.
I don't recommend people watch it.
I didn't watch it.
That's good.
Okay.
Maybe it is because you grow up in a world where there's nothing that is unattainable.
Yeah.
So it just warps your view of like what the world actually is. Yeah, reality. I can see that.
Yeah.
Do you think Will Smith can recover from that?
Yeah, I think he can. I think you know, his next film he has to play in my opinion, I could be wrong, but I would just say it all depends on the next character he plays, right? If he plays a specific character where people just fall in love with and they don't see Will Smith, they see this different character and they see the old Will Smith in this character, I think that could play a role in it.
So like he shouldn't be like Silence of the Lambs redone.
No.
Yeah. He should not be playing the next Hannibal Lecter.
No.
Okay.
I think he'll I think, you know, people will, I mean, how long is that? That's about a year ago? I think people will eventually forgive him.
Since the slap heard around the world?
Yeah, the slap heard around. People will forgive him and they'll be like, all right, he's a great actor. And again, I think it all comes back to performance and the character. I think that will be the way to, and the story, whatever the story is behind the character he's playing, I think that could play a huge role.
Yeah. Have you heard some of the comedy that Chris Rock has done since then?
I didn't. I saw like a clip on Instagram, but I can't remember exactly what was said.
I mean, of all the people that you would want to give ammunition to, let's give it to a guy who makes his living, if he wants to, just eviscerating people through the lens of comedy. And he gets to sit on it for like a year and just fucking sharpen that blade. It's what it should
Is it
be.
brutal?
It's appropriate.
Okay.
Like, he didn't hit him back physically.
Yeah, but he did.
He knocked that motherfucker out.
Verbally. I got to check it out. It was on Netflix, right? Was it on Netflix?
Yeah, you can find clips of it in certain places.
Okay.
It's just, again, you gave it to a professional who works his way through ideas. And also, I mean, a lot of comedy, like I love Chappelle.
Oh, he's hilarious.
Because he can tell the story.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he's up there and he hides shit so well in the stories. Like,
And it's not like he's trying to be funny.
no, he's just telling a story.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But again, same thing. Like, the influence he has in the way that he tells a story, and he gets to the end, you're like, oh, shit. That's not the way I thought it was going.
Yeah, exactly.
I love his specials, man. They're hilarious.
Yeah, I've watched his. His is. I showed my wife one night. We were both in bed rolling. Yeah, he's a legend, man. He's
100% a legend for sure. If you could make any project, what would it be?
Ooh, any project, what would it be?
Don't say fucking Batman either.
No. You know, I've had a story in my head. I know this might be a weird one. This is out of left field, but just like angelic, like angel type film with angels. Just the fall. Something that's always been in my head. The story of the fall. Like I don't even want to say world, but what did eternity look like before the fall? With angels and Lucifer, and seeing Lucifer as Lucifer, because his name was Lucifer, an angel. Well, that's a different translation of it, but it means light bearer. But
interesting.
But to see that, to create a movie with the Archangel Michael and his angels fighting, you know, Lucifer has now become Satan and his angels, like some type of battle. Like I think that would be a cool movie to make. Because there hasn't been anything like that before. You got all the superhero movies. You got all the different action movies. And even with the stuff that I do, I try to make sure that it's different. But I think that something like that would be really, really cool.
Would you make it literally through the lens of like the angels, or would you nest that story and like hide it in the business world?
No, I would make it like Avatar. So I would do what James Cameron did and make everything like blue screen, put, you know, those tracking dots on actors and utilize that same technology. So that it looks and feels like heaven, whatever that looks like, or whatever I envision that to be when I'm making that film.
Okay, so you're talking like, you're not going to put your toes in the water of the angelic world. You're talking cannonball. Jumping straight into the pool.
Oh, jumping straight.
Yeah, you're not dipping your toes in there to test the temperature. It's like, here we go.
Yeah, Avatar level. It would have to be shot Avatar level.
That's one of the things, I don't know shit about acting, but I love watching the behind-the-scenes stuff.
Yeah.
To get an idea of what was actually there and then what wasn't there. Yeah. Their ability to basically just do their job.
Yeah, visual effects is nuts nowadays.
Well, the visual effects are amazing, but goddamn, they're like really pretending. I mean, not that I thought that Iron Man was real by any stretch of the imagination. Like, I understand that Tony Stark is an actual character, and Robert Downey Jr. is probably nowhere near as smart as the character he was portraying. Yeah. But his ability to like act, especially when you strip the CG away and you really like, you guys are basically in a room like this, pretending that there's shit going on everywhere, and you're selling it.
Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome to see. I watched the behind the scenes of the recent Avatar: Way of Water, and just to see what James Cameron did, how he was able to pull specific emotions out of characters, out of actors, and make the actors do things where they were really, it looked like they were really they thought themselves, the actors, that they were really in this, on Pandora, whatever the planet is called.
I think it is Pandora,
Yeah. It was super, super cool. And the boxes and how he would use them like jumping up boxes as and then you see in post-production that it was actually a ship. They were walking up, like not boxes, but like steps to a ship. All of that is fascinating. And the stuff that he did underwater, where he was able to create, you know, use certain lenses on the camera and use certain technology, and then even have the actors with the dots do certain things underwater. So it really looked like they were in the Way of Water, they were underwater doing all of this cool stuff. It's fascinating, man.
Yeah.
Technology is crazy as it relates to filmmaking.
Wild for sure.
And that's why I said like that movie has been in my head, that old Angel, but it would have to be done in that same style visually, like with the same technology, same cameras, same type of setup, staging, all of that, so that it looks like Pandora looked.
I mean, I don't know much about the world you're working in, but I think you're going to need more than $35 million.
Oh, no. I mean, I think Avatar, and that's why I was like, a movie like that would be way down the line, because it's like I'd have to get a lot under my belt before that, because I think Avatar was like $200 million. Not the recent one, the way it awarded, the budget alone was like $200 or $300 million, something ridiculous.
I think they said it would need to do $1 billion in ticket sales for them to justify doing the third.
Yeah, and they did. I think it did like 1.6 or 1. Maybe it might. Yeah, 1.6 and 1.7 billion.
Hopefully Tom Cruise beat it. Nobody knocks off Maverick.
No, it definitely beat Maverick. Yeah, Maverick was one.
fucking
It was an
trash.
awesome. I liked the movie. I liked Maverick. It was. I think Maverick capped out at 1.2 million.
No, billion.
Oh, sorry, 1.2. Yeah. Sorry, 1.2 billion.
Yeah, it was doing about 1.2 million an hour for the first few months.
Yeah, that's true. Well, can you see what Avatar did?
So
Did Avatar hit
Avatar's,
Way of Water?
Come on, Maverick. Come on, Mav.
let's see, grossing was 2.3 billion for Avatar.
The first one?
No, second one.
Oh, so 2.3 billion.
shit.
Yeah. And then Maverick was 1.5
Oh,
billion.
1.5. Okay, it was 1.3. Yeah.
It's a fucking American treasure. I can't believe he lost to whatever was in the second Avatar movie.
Yeah. Oh, I love Maverick. That was awesome. It was awesome. That was a great. I mean, the visuals and stuff that they did with camera. I remember working with Shamir Anderson, who's an actor. I worked with to train him for this Invasion Apple TV show that he was working on. And he was telling, he had, what was the guy? Miles Teller. He talked to Miles Teller, and Miles Teller was telling him about all the training that Tom Cruise made them do, get in the cockpit and do it so that way it looked even more real on camera. And I was just like, they actually got in, he was like, yeah, he got in the plane. I remember watching a featurette where the actors actually got in the plane.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise was like he was like,
What do you think the chances are they let him fly the F-18 just for a little bit?
I wonder that.
I mean, he's a pilot for sure.
Yeah, he is. But that's a lot
I know
of
they're
money.
like, you cannot touch this. But
Yeah.
the dude up front's like, hey, man, we're going to have a glitch in the cameras here for a second. Like,
Yeah.
take it for a spin.
Yeah.
I mean, I did a backseat ride in an F-18, and the woman let me fly it for a little bit.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Did you guys hit any G's?
Yeah, I was definitely going to throw up.
How did it still felt bad?
It was the worst. It was not during the G turn itself. It was the after, when your inner ear is catching up.
The recovery.
And I didn't know which way she was turning, so I was just smacking my head off the canopy, which was not awesome.
Did you do, what did you do while you were going through the G? Was there like some type of technique, breathing technique or something like that?
No, they covered none of that with me.
Okay.
I had a G suit on, and I was just fucking holding on for dear life.
Oh, God.
It was, I mean, it's like, I don't know how many G's we pulled. It might have been like 2.
Okay.
So they were doing simulated bombing runs. The reason I got to do it is I was a JTAC for a long time. So what a great way to improve your communication with a pilot than going up and actually seeing what they see.
Yeah.
Because on the ground, you're like, it's the fucking house with the white roof.
Yeah.
And then you go up to 15,000 feet. You're like,
And you're moving at like 15,000 miles per hour.
there's 7,400 houses down there with the white roof.
Yeah.
So they were doing bomb runs and pulling out of it and simulated surface-to-air missile attacks so they would evade. I don't know how many Gs we pulled. The G suit was interesting, like the way that it inflates lower body and pushes the blood up. I never felt like I was going to pass out, but I really have no relative scale as to how hard we were going. But I definitely felt nauseous for about a day afterwards, actually.
Wow.
It sucked.
That type of effect
I wasn't
on the
in
body.
control, though. I was just sitting in the back, just like being whipped around.
Oh, wow. That's nuts, man. I'd like to do that one day. Maybe if I'm training for a movie that I'm fighter jet movie, fighting aliens or something like that.
I feel like you should just write a movie with the goal of just doing a backseat ride. That's the whole purpose
That's
of the
true.
movie.
That's
Like,
a good point.
make a good movie, but this is like, well, fuck, what do I want to do? I want to do this, so here's my next movie idea.
So funny. On that note, I wanted to in the short film Unexpected Redemption, like I wanted to get in a G6 private jet. So I wrote that into the screenplay. Literally, we were able to get a G6. Now it cost me $23,000 for 12 hours to rent it.
And it didn't actually fly, right?
No, we flew in it.
Yeah.
Like so we shot on the ground and we
Yeah.
a lot of stuff, and then we shot some stuff in the air.
I remember you were posting about, or I've seen on your social a couple years ago you were posting about that.
Trying to get the private jet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote that in the screenplay, though, because I intentionally wanted to get on a G6 private jet. It was sick.
They're pretty dope. That's actually surprising that you paid that little.
Yeah. Well, I did a lot of shopping around, man. It was a I forgot the guy's name. He's an ultra runner, billionaire dude. He runs with a team guy, Chad Wright, a lot. His wife owns Spanx or started Spanx or something like that. Anyway, he does a lot of stuff with a lot of team guys, but like he helped connect me with a broker because he used to have a private jet rental company.
Okay.
So he connected me with
That's
a guy.
all about who you know.
Yeah. So we were able to get a deal, but it was gnarly, man. It was gnarly, dude.
Yeah. The private jet world, the Gulfstream world, those things are pretty badass.
Oh yeah. You ever jump out of one?
Out of a Gulfstream? No. I know they're
I know that's just might be a stupid question. But.
No, well, I mean, so obviously you can't open the front door in flight, but there is a luggage door in the back.
Yeah.
I don't know how secretive these particular people are about this. Let's just say it's been done.
Okay.
There's a lot of modifications that need to be made.
Okay.
To do that, to open the luggage door in flight, people have figured out those.
Okay.
The solutions to those problems and tested it. Put it to you like that.
Okay. So somebody
I was not
has done
there,
it.
but I know the people who did, and it's awesome.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I bet.
Yeah.
That sounds sick, man. Now you gave me an idea of something I can now write that in a movie since it's been done.
I mean, it'd be a really good way to do a low-vis insertion.
Yeah.
Across the border. You could just, charter or have your own aircraft and, especially some of these aircrafts that have really long legs, like ones that could go from like San Diego to Beijing, or if you wanted to fly over the Horn of Africa, whatever, just pick a destination where you might arc over the top of it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who's to say what's going to happen?
Okay. Now I know.
Yeah.
Now I know it's been done.
Yeah. I should have probably 3 pages worth of a role in that movie. It's not a big deal.
I'll hook you up. And I'll get you a stunt bump on it as well.
Hell yeah. That's what I'm talking about. I don't even know what the fuck that means, but I'm here for it.
It means more money. So you'll get paid as an actor, and then you'll get a stunt bump for every time you jump.
I don't know if it's a good idea to use me as an actor in any role. I will do the Buds instructor thing because I told you that I would. But beyond that, let's keep it there.
Well, you know what? There is a skydive scene in Unexpected Redemption, a free fall scene, and a parachute over the water opening scene.
Yep.
So maybe I get you in there as a stunt guy.
I feel like that would be tough because there's a bunch of stunt guys that already do that, and they might be very pissed at you.
Yeah, I'm just saying just to hook you up. Just to get you into Hollywood, baby.
I don't want to be in Hollywood.
Okay.
If I'm being totally honest.
Well, just to get you to check that box.
Yeah. I was eligible for my SAG card, and I never actually filled out the paperwork for it.
What was the project?
I did a little bit of technical advising, and then I was wearing a balaclava at the time. I'm not going to tell people the project because I don't want them to be able to figure it out. I'll tell you offline.
Okay, yeah, tell me offline.
Yeah. Yeah, they sent the SAG stuff, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, so I don't want to do anything with it, which will probably infuriate people because I guess they have to collect coupons or whatever it is, or whatever, however they keep track.
It's hard to get for some people. But for me, it pays off. I'm getting retirement now, right? Because you get so many points, then you'll get I think it's 5 points. You're eligible. You're vested. You get a retirement.
You have a SAG retirement?
Yeah, I just got a letter from SAG that saying, hey, you got to get at least 1 point a year. You got to get at least 5 points. You get only 1 point a year. I got 5 points. So I just got a letter. Hey, dude, when you turn 65, you're getting a retirement from SAG pension. I was like, yeah. Now I got to get my WGA one. That'll be another one. Hopefully get my DGA one. Now I'm sitting pretty.
Is that the Directors Guild?
Yeah, Directors.
So there's Writers Guild, Directors Guild,
and SAG.
And
then IATSE, which is it kind of manages all the miscellaneous, and I mean this in a good way, but jobs on set, like the props master and truckers and all these different guys.
I prefer the Team America World Police description of the Actors Guild, the Film Actors Guild.
I don't know that one. And
You've never seen Team America?
I seen it, but years ago.
The Film Actors Guild, the FAG.
Oh, got it.
Matt Damon.
Now I remember. Yeah. That movie, I remember when we were in Buds, and the guys would always be quoting that movie, dude.
You know what's weird? Yeah. Or not weird, but wild. That movie still holds up.
Yeah, it does.
It fucking holds up. And you look at some of the stuff, and again, South Park might as well be Nostradamus.
Oh yeah,
half the time. I mean, they get a lot of shit wrong too.
Yeah.
It's easy to overlook the thousands of things that they were incorrect on, but god damn it, they get some stuff right too.
They do.
Tell me, I got to get you out of here pretty soon, so you can get to the airport and make your flight.
Yeah.
Chameleon, Talk to me about it. When does it come out? Where can people find it?
Yeah, so Chameleon comes out July 25th. Wherever books are sold, they can get it. Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, wherever. We're doing signed copies, so people pre-order a copy now. They can get a signed copy from talkshoplive.com, whatever the link is. But yeah, it's like I said, the story that's been in my head for like over 14 years. Started out as a screenplay. People in the book world read the script and was like, this would be an awesome book series. I signed a deal, wrote the book, and it's cool. It's very grounded, but it's not grounded to the point where we're giving away any secrets or anything like that. And as a matter of fact, it's very fictitious as well. It's grounded, but also fictitious because it's CIA black box unit that I created. But yeah, man, it's an espionage drama. I'm happy about it. I'm excited about it. I'm excited to introduce people to this new character and this new world as it relates to espionage and political thriller, and then also with a protagonist that comes from my background. He was born in Nigeria, grew up in New York, rose up through the ranks, and ended up becoming a CIA agent in this top secret program and doing cool stuff. So Chameleon, he's a chameleon. And that's
What's the main character's name?
Khalif Browder Kent, but for short it's Kali Kent. He's actually, interestingly, his name comes from Khalif Browder. Khalif Browder was a kid in the Bronx around 2004, 2005. He was falsely charged with stealing a backpack, sent to Rikers Island, and he was a teenager, sent to Rikers Island men's jail, put in general population, ended up being a solitary confinement. He was tortured for like 2 or 3 years in Rikers Island, and he ended up getting out. So tormented, he ended up committing suicide. So he's from like right around the corner from where I grew up. So I wanted to create the character is not based off him. The character is loosely based on me, but I just wanted to kind of give that character that name, because in my mind I was like, what could Khalif Browder become if what happened didn't happen to him? Because he was a really, really smart kid as well. Yeah. So and the main character's name is Khalif Browder Kent, but primarily throughout the book is Kali Kent, and yeah.
Did you already do the Audible version?
Yep, I read the audiobook just like I did.
You have a voice for it.
Yeah, it was fun. I didn't want to do it at first. They had a bunch of actors lined up, and then somebody reached out to me on social media and asked me, hey, are you doing an audiobook? I said, no. It's like, oh, dude, you did trend. So I ended up biting a bullet and did it. It was fun, man. I had to do a lot of different accents, from Dutch to freaking, South African to Nigerian. So it was a fun ride, but it was tough though at the same time. And I also shot a short film, which is a companion film that comes out a week before the book comes out. It comes out July 18th, and essentially I partner with a podcast / YouTubers called Dirty Civilian, and they reach out to me. It was like, hey, dude, we want to do long story short, we want to do some video content with you, and so we decided on doing a chapter from the book. So they picked the chapter, I wrote the script. We shot the script about 3 weeks ago now in Nashville, and that's going to release a week, and it's a companion video that's coming along with the book, but it's going to be dope.
So you have no free time?
No, not at all.
I'm just listening, like, okay, so he's writing this, he's doing that. Like, yeah, so you have, what do you got, vacation scheduled like 2029-ish? Is that what you're looking at right now?
It's so funny.
Q3, Q4, 29?
Yeah, something like that, man. I'll go on vacation when I'm dead, man. Yeah.
I can appreciate that headspace, but man, make sure you take the time to enjoy it.
100%. That's what I'm trying to do.
I mean, otherwise, what the fuck is the point?
I know.
Right?
I know. I when I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. When I'm with my wife and my kids, like, all of that is gone. Like, it's just me and them, and that's everything. So I do get those. 4:30 is when I'm not traveling. 4:30 is when I clock out and I'm with the kids. And my wife, she works every Wednesday and Thursday and every other Friday. So it's just me and them. And then when she gets back on the weekends, it's just them. So I think that's where I really get the time to decompress and give them that quality time that I need.
It's good you have that, man.
Yeah.
There are, and I've fallen victim to this myself, in the pursuit of fill in the blank. Everything else becomes secondary. I mean, our old job was a tough one, prioritizing, everything. The career was going to suffer last for sure, but I'm at a phase in my life now where it's like working hard is awesome. Yeah. Working hard to die exhausted, never having taken the time to enjoy what you have, far less awesome. Yeah,
100%. It's not worth it. It's not worth it, especially with kids, because then you lose all of the look back, and you lose all of those years before you know it, the kids are like grown up. And
how old are yours now?
My oldest is 9. My second son is 8. My third son is 4, and my daughter's going to be 3 in October.
You guys gonna have more?
No, God, no. Absolutely not.
You're already playing zone defense anyway.
Oh man, no.
I try to tell people the difference between 2 and 3 kids. It's like man on man versus zone defense.
Yeah.
You have the third one, and I swear they have like a Bluetooth connection. Like one goes left, one goes right, one goes full back dive, and one of us is getting away.
Yeah, man. It's that's the name of the game for us. Luckily, my oldest is 9 now, so he's like, he's he's a little bit more independent. But my second son has Tourette's, so that's something that we have to kind of really be around him for and help him with because it's a struggle.
I feel like if I had to pick one condition to have, Tourette's wouldn't be a bad one.
Why is that?
Because you can scream cock and balls anytime you want to. You can be like in church, cock!
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are people going to say?
Yeah, that is kind of true. But,
I mean, the Boondock Saints, one of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
The bartender, fuck, ass. Like
I totally forgot all about that. I totally forgot. But when my son, like he doesn't have the vocal thing. He has the neck and back thing. And
I wasn't even aware of that.
So for him, it's extremely painful.
Well, that sucks.
Yeah, because his muscles are constantly contracting all around his neck. So he got the worst version, not the worst, but a bad version of it, which sucks. But
you got the one that doesn't allow him to express his true inner thoughts.
Yeah. He wants to, because he wants to. Instead, he's like, "Can we cut it off? Can we cut off?" And I'm like, "No, we can't cut off your neck, son, but we'll work through it." It's tough, man. He's 8 years old, and it's like he doesn't understand it all, obviously. And he asked me. My wife's a doctor, and so he asks her questions all the time. Why can't it stop? Can I just take some medicine? So it's heartbreaking at times, but that's life. There's always something, and we just got to Charlie Mike continue mission, work through it the best we can, and continue to show love, and everything will work itself out.
Can't choose what happens to you in life. I think the only thing you have control over is how you receive it and what you do with it.
Exactly.
And that's like, people will be like, oh yeah, well, fuck you, come live my life. I'm not saying that life isn't hard, but you do have a choice in how you receive the things that happen and what you can do with them. And you and I both know people, it's like, I see people like, well, if that would have happened to me, I might have given up. And they turn it into something like, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my life.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, that's the difference between, like we touched on earlier, having a victor mindset and a victim mindset.
Agreed.
Yep.
Close it out, Mr. Adeleke.
Hey, man, thanks again for having me on, brother. It's
good to see you, man.
Until next time.